Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to audit course session number 11. Today we are going to discuss the common collector, common emitter, directly coupled cascade amplifier. So earlier we have seen the RC coupled cascade amplifier. Here we see the output of the first stage. Now this emitter terminal of the transistor Q1 goes to the base terminal of transistor Q2. So it's directly connected with a wire. So that's why such kind of configuration is called as directly coupled cascade amplifier. Now it is a two-stage. First stage consists of transistor Q1 and the biasing resistors R1, R2, and RE, and the resistors RE1. And the second stage consists of the resistors RC and RE2. Okay. The first stage is the common collector because input is applied to the base and output is taken from the emitter terminal. And the second stage is the common emitter because the input is applied to the base and output is collected. Output is taken from the collector. The entire both the circuits are powered by 30-volt supply. Fine. Input is applied to the base of transistor Q1 and output is taken from the collector of transistor Q2. Now, for DC analysis, we will consider that the reactance offered by the capacitance will be infinite because the frequency is zero. So for DC analysis, both of these capacitors will behave as open circuit. So this is my DC equivalent circuit. So in this, we have marked over here various terminal currents and the voltages. So here is IB1. Actually, we can apply a Thevenin's equivalent at the base of Q1 and we can have RTH and VTH configuration, which I have not shown over here. So we have IB1, VB1, then IE1, IRE1. Now, if you see carefully over here, IB2 is basically, if you see at this node over here, okay, so we have incoming current as IE1 and outgoing current as IRE1 and IB2. Okay, so this extra current we have to take into consideration. Then we have VBE2 for transistor Q2 and IC2 and IE2. So we need to determine first for DC analysis all the terminal currents and the voltages. So let us begin. So here the given data is beta is given as 20. For both the transistors, beta is symmetric. So beta 1 is 20, beta 2 is also 20. Also the VB1 and VB2 is around 0.6, which is given. Okay, now we know that the emitter current in a BJT is given by is the sum of base current and collector current. Now I have told you all that we can apply a Thevenin's equivalent at the base of transistor Q1, right? After Thevenin's equivalent, we get VTH is equal to R2 upon R1 plus R2 into VCC, which will be 30K into 30K into 30 divided by 60K plus 30K. That will be 10. Fine. And next will be RTH, which is R1 parallel to R2, which will be 60 kilo ohms parallel to 30 kilo ohms, which will be 20 kilo ohms. Now, IB12 is VTH minus VB upon RTH plus 1 plus beta 1 into RE1. So that will be, if you substitute all the values, you will get it as 229.27 microamperes. Now, IC1 will be beta 1 times IB1, which will be 4.585 milliamperes. And IE1 will be IC1 plus IB1, which is around 4.814 milliamperes. So we have determined the terminal currents for the transistor number 1. Now, VE1, we are assuming IE1 into RE1. Okay. So over here, VE1 is actually IRE1 into RE1. But we are assuming that the same current IE1 flows through the resistor RE1. This is an assumption. Basically, we are ignoring IB2 initially. That's what is written over here. VE1 is IE1 into RE1, being the assumption that IE1 is equal to IRE1, assuming that IB2 is negligible. Okay, this is an assumption which we might change later on. The initial assumption. So we get easily VE1. This is 4.814 volt. Then VB1 will be VB1 plus VE1, which will be 5.414 volt. And from the circuit, we can say that VE1 is same as VB2. Let us see that. Yeah, VE1 is same as VB2. Yes, they are same, directly coupled. So also we can write over here VB2 is equal to VE1, which is equal to 4.814 volt. Now, VE2 also we can write it as VB2 minus VBE2, which will be 4.14 volt. Then IE2 will be VE2 upon RE2, which will be 4.214 milliamperes. Now IC2, from IE2 we can determine IC2 easily, which will be alpha 2 times IE2, which will be alpha is beta upon 1 plus beta, and this will give us 4.013 milliamperes. Then IB2 will be IE2 divided by 1 plus beta, which will be 200.67 microamperes. Now, earlier we have assumed that, let me go back to the diagram. Earlier we have assumed that IE1 and IRE1 are same, but in fact they are not same. We have IB2 also. So we will rewrite this expression. We'll rewrite the exact expression for equation, 7, given in 7. So this is not true. This is initially we have assumed it for convenience. So we'll rewrite this statement VE1. So VE1 will be, we are calling it new value. This is the updated value. So VE1 will be IRE1 into RE1. Now what is IRE1? IRE1 is IE1 minus IB2. So that we get it easily. This is 4.613 milliamperes. Okay. Since we got the value of IB2, now we can substitute it over here. Earlier we have assumed IRE1 is equal to IE1, and we have ignored the effect of IB2. Now since we have IB2, we substitute it over here and we'll get the new value of IRE1. So it is 4.613 milliamperes. Now V1 new will be IRE1 into RE1, which will be 4.613 volt. Then VB2, for the second stage, everything we have to recalculate because IB2 is considered now. So VB2 new will be equal to VE1 new, which will be equal to 4.613 volt. Then VE2 new will be equal to VB2 new minus VB2, which will be 4.013 volt. Then IE2 new will be VE2 divided by RE. RE2 actually, it will be 4.013 milliamperes. And IC2 new, again, we can recalculate it. It is alpha 2 into IE2 new, which will be 3.822 milliamperes. And IB2 new will be IE2 new divided by 1 plus beta 2, which will be 191.095. See, we have earlier got the value of IB2 as 200 microamperes. Now the new value is, updated value is 191.095 microamperes. From here we calculate VC2, which is VCC minus IC2 into RC, which will be 22.356 volt. Then VC1 is 30 volt directly, and VCE1 will be VC1 minus VE2. VE1, that will be 25.387 if you calculate it. Then VCE2 will be VC2 minus VE2, which will be 18.343 volt. Okay, so these are all the terminal voltages and the terminal currents for both the transistors Q1 and Q2 over here. Okay, now let us proceed forward. Okay, once we know all the terminal currents and the voltages, we go for the small signal parameters, which are RPi1, which is beta 1 into Vt upon IC1. So we substitute Vt as around 26 millivolt, beta 1 is given as 20, and IC1 is 4.585 milliamperes. So RPi1 will come out to be 113.41 ohms. RPi2 will be beta 2 into Vt upon IC2, which will come out to be 136.054 ohms. GM1 will be ICQ1 divided by Vt, which will be 176.35 milliampere per volt. And GM2 will be ICQ2 divided by Vt, that will be 147 milliampere per volt. So these are the values for small signal parameters. Now, let me show you all the small signal equivalent circuit from which we have derived. So this is the small signal equivalent circuit corresponding to this diagram. Okay. So what we do here is we replace these transistors by its hybrid pi model. Okay. So we replace these transistors by its hybrid pi model, and we assume that the capacitors are short circuited. Okay. So we don't consider those capacitors. We'll consume it to be, for a particular frequency, for mid frequency range appear to be a short circuit. So here we have input, then we have R1 parallel to R2. Then we replace this transistor by its hybrid pi model, which is R pi, and current source will be GM into V pi, GM1 into V pi 1. This is the base 1, collector 1, and emitter 1 terminal. This is the base current entering. And then from here we have RE1. Okay. And then again we have another transistor whose emitter 1 of the first stage is connected to base 2. So here again we have drawn the hybrid pi equivalent model, and RE2 is unbypassed. So we have drawn RE2 as it is. And the output is taken across the collector resistor, which is RC. Okay. Now the total gain of the circuit should be V out upon V in, right? So we intermediate divided into two halves. The first output of the first stage will be calling it as V1. So the gain of first stage is V1 divided by V in, and the gain of second stage is V out divided by V1. Okay, so that's what we get over here. Now let me go back to the calculations. So AV mid will be V out upon V in, which will be V out upon V1 into V1 upon V in, which will be AV2 into AV1. Okay, so AV2 will be V out upon V1, which will be equal to minus beta 2 into RC divided by R pi 2 plus 1 plus beta 2 times RE2. Now, I'm not going to derive this. It's directly, I'm assuming that you all have gone through this small signal analysis and determined the relations of AV1 and AV2 expressions. Okay, so I'm directly using the formulas for the calculation purpose. Here we are more interested in the simulation part, whether the simulation readings are matching with the calculated ones or no. Okay, so after substituting, all the values are available and we have calculated them. So AV2 will be minus 1.8925. Okay, so it doesn't have any unit. It's a ratio of gain. Is the ratio of voltages, correct? And AV1 is V1 upon V in, which will be 1 plus beta 1 times RE1 divided by R pi 1 plus 1 plus beta 1 times RE1. Okay, and if you substitute all the values over here, you will get it as 0.9946. So AV mid will be the multiplication of the two gains, which will be AV1 into AV2, which comes out to be 1.8823. Okay, so the total overall gain is 1.8823. Fine. So now let's do one thing. Let's start implementing this circuit. Okay, so I'll keep this a little bit of open only so that we can verify everything. I have already made the circuit ready so that we can save some time for simulation. So you can easily make this circuit. There is nothing very complex over here. We have to just get the components from the library and just assemble the circuit like this. Okay, so let us check. CC1 is 10 microfarad. Yeah. V in is applied over here. R1 and R2 is 60 and 30K. Yes. Q1 over here. This is RE1 is around 1 kilo ohms. Yes, it is. RC2 is 2 kilo ohm. And here we have, okay, there is some slight mistake. This should be above. Okay. So the output is taken across the collector, not the emitter. So the CC2 should be above. Let me correct that. Okay, let me take this entire wire and okay, so the output has to be connected across the collector terminal like this over here. Okay, so let me delete this and let me place the wire. Okay, so now the circuit is complete, and now we are more interested in finding the DC parameters first. Okay, so let us start finding the DC parameters. But before doing that, I need to tell you that already the dot model statements have been defined. So beta is given as 20. So we have written over here BF as 20, and IS is the reverse saturation current. Okay. So these are the values for model parameters for your both the BJTs. And we have named it as Q1 and NPN1 and NPN2. Let me also rename this Q1 as Q1 underscore the name. Okay, and also Q2 will be Q2 underscore the name. So this is just done to get some uniqueness. If you are submitting something, your name and your roll number automatically will come. I mean, in this case, the name. Fine. And yeah, similarly, we have how to define this dot model statement. Right click, go to go to draft, and click on spice directive. So that's how you do it. And the entire circuit is powered by 30-volt supply. So this is, let us write 30 volt. Okay, so VCC is applied 30 volt. Here we have used the label technique to do that. Now, let me click on simulate, run. So it will ask which simulation command we have to select DC operating point and click on OK. The moment you select DC operating point, you will get one window. You can close that window and open another window. Go to view and click on spice error log. Okay, I repeat, go to view and click on spice error log. So here we have all the transistors ready for both the models. Okay, now let us check this DC parameters one by one. I have made a table over here for the calculated values and the simulated values. Here it is. So first of all, IB1. So IB1 is 229 microamperes in simulated and 229.27 microamperes in with calculations. So yeah, IB2 will be I think 183 microamperes, and here we are getting around 191.095 microamperes. It is in microamperes, so this much difference is tolerated. Then we have VCE1. VCE1 is 25.4 volt, and calculation it is 25.387, so quite close. VCE2 is 18.8 in simulation and 18.343. Okay, I think it is 18.343 volt. Okay, so again it is quite close. Then IC1 is 4.58 milliamperes by simulation, and by calculation it is 4.585 milliamperes. Okay, so that is also quite close. IC2 is 3.67 milliamperes over here, and we are got a calculated value as 3.822 milliamperes. Okay, so there are some slight differences, but these differences are tolerable. Now next we calculate RPi1. RPi1 is 113 ohms, and by calculation we are getting 113.41 ohms. RPi2 is 141 ohms, and by calculation we are getting 136.054 ohms. Then GM1 is 177 milliampere per volt, and by calculation we are getting 176.35 milliampere per volt. Then GM2 is 142 milliampere per volt, and by calculation we are getting 147 milliampere per volt. Now to check so all the parameters are more or less consistent with the one calculated. So remember, here we have iterated once, meaning we have found the value of IB2, new value of IB2, and yeah, we got another new value. So if you repeat it one more time, do all the calculations with IB2 as 191, I'm sure that you will get the closer value of IB2 over here. Okay, which is closer to 183 microamperes. I hope that is clear now. And now we close this. Now what we want is we want a V out and V in. We want to calculate the gain. So first of all, what we will do is we'll delete that .op and we'll go to tools, go to simulate. Before going that, just label the input and output properly. So V in underscore your name, and then V out underscore the name. Okay. Now let me go to simulate, click on run. Now over here, the frequency is around 1K. Correct. So you can give around, let's say, 3 milliseconds or so. Yeah. So now you can plot input and output together. Not a problem. So this is my V in. So you can right click and plot V in, and right click and plot V out also. So this is my V in and V out. The out of phase indicates that in the final expression of AV limit, we have a minus sign, which is consistent. So let's use now the dot measure statement to measure the peak to peak value of the input and output. Okay. So I'll right click over here, click on the draft, click on the spice directive, and I start writing it. Dot MEAS. Then I'll write V in as a reserve word. Then peak to peak, V of V in underscore the name. Okay. And then again I'll write dot measure. That will be V out, peak to peak, V of V out underscore the name. Make sure that you give the same label. Okay. Then I want to calculate the gain. So I'll use gain param. This will be V out divided by V in. So it will directly, this statements will directly calculate the gain automatically. Okay. So let LT Spice give you the peak to peak value rather than you visualizing it from here by using the cursors. Again, I'll click on the simulate, click on run, and then I'll go to view, check the spice error log. Oh, it's coming out to be failed. Okay, let us see why. Okay, dot measure V of V out. Okay, the name, you see, one mistake in the name and entire thing will be wrong. So one name mistake was there. I think now it will not give error. Let me go to view again, spice error log, and here it is. You see here the values we are getting, and directly the software, the LT Spice is calculating the gain for us. So gain is basically 1.88126. So let's cross check it with the table. So yeah, it is minus because it is out of phase. This dot measure statement will not give you any polarity. It will just give you the magnitude. So by calculation, we are getting minus 1.8823, and by simulation, we are getting minus 1.88126. So that's close up till 2 digits. So that's good enough for us. Okay, so that's how we measure the the gain of the directly coupled amplifier. Remember the analysis. This is CCCE. Sorry for the mistake. It is common collector. First stage is the common collector. Second stage is the common emitter. Okay. So please do remember that. So after doing this, there is a small exercise which you should try. The exercise is keeping all the resistor and capacitors values being the same. Only change RE1 to 910 ohms. Okay, so initially RE1 is 1K. Now change it to 910 and see which all parameters are getting affected. There are various parameters over here. Check that which all parameters are getting affected and write only them. And also write down whether they are increasing or decreasing. Okay, possibly from the formula you'll get to know the inference whether by decreasing the value of RE1 what is the effect, whether you get an improvement on something or the gain or not. So you need to comment on that. Okay, I hope that this is clear to you. So we have completed this common collector, common emitter, directly coupled amplifier, and we have performed its DC analysis, and we have also checked its mid-band gain. Okay, so that's it for today. Next time we will start with some other topic. So until then, have a good day and thank you.